Welcome back. I'm Claudine Bellany. Please welcome Dr. Eddie Francisco Alvarez.
Hi.
Welcome.
How are you?
Good. How are you? Welcome to the Oval. A little bit about Dr. Eddie. Dr. Eddie Francisco Alvarez Jr. is an assistant professor in the Department of Africana and Latino Studies. He was born in Los Angeles, California, where he was living until he moved to Oyana in 2014. He has a BA and an MA in Spanish and a PhD in Chicano and Chicana Studies. We are so happy to have you here today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I hear this is the spot to be.
Yes. Word around campus.
Anything popping is on the Oval.
I hear. I said I have to get on that show.
Thank you so much for coming. We want to know a little bit about you. It's all about you tonight. You're in the spotlight.
All right.
So we're going to go backwards today. Talea, we got some questions for you. We're going to start with Talea.
Okay.
So it's all about you tonight.
So I have the honor of being in your hip hop culture class,
Yes.
which he's amazing at teaching. And if you're I don't want to get into that right now, but let me get into the
We'll
question.
talk about that later.
Right,
We'll
let's
talk
get into
about
the
that
question.
later. Yes.
So one of my questions is to talk about the approach you use when teaching the hip hop course, and also I want to talk about the Glimmer Glass opera.
Yes, absolutely. I think that sometimes students are surprised when they take my class because they're expecting a more sort of traditional kind of hip hop class, what traditionally would be taught, but I teach the course from a feminist perspective, feminist, queer, LGBTQ perspective, and so we look at, yes, the history of hip hop and all the contributions, but we also look at misogyny, right, and patriarchy, right, and the role of women in hip hop, right, because women have been made invisible in the hip hop world, even though they've been always there. So I think that's a little different. So that's about how I teach the class. In terms of the Glimmer Glass project, we paired up with Glimmer Glass Opera, which is here in Cooperstown, and they contacted me because I teach the hip hop class, and it's really exciting because this summer is the world premiere right here in Cooperstown of Stomping Grounds, which is a hip opera, sort of on the tails of Hamilton, and it's a way to sort of merge these two different, seemingly disparate types of musical genres and teaching people about stories through music. So.
And I'm happy to be doing the internship with you. I'm ready to get in there with the children and teach them hip hop. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah, they're gonna love you. Yeah, we're excited. Yeah.
Yes.
All right. That was a great question. Jasmine, what do you got for him?
All right. So
Is it about Dasha Polanco? No, that's later.
it should have been. So you're one of the only 19 people in the world with a PhD in Chicana Studies. So
Wow.
oh my God! A lot of people do not know that.
Wow, that's
And
awesome.
I've been following you since freshman year, and I did not know that, so that's nice to know. And from UCSB, and it's the first doctoral program of its kind. So the program is fairly new, obviously.
Yes.
So can you tell us what you studied in the program and what led you to study in that field?
Yeah, absolutely. And first I have to say that a lot of people, especially on the East Coast, don't always know what is Chicana and Chicano studies, right? But it means Mexican American studies, right?
Okay.
And so I decided to go into that program. Well, first of all, it's an interdisciplinary program like the Africana Latino Studies department here. So it's interdisciplinary. We study history, mass media, arts movements, right? A little bit of everything through an interdisciplinary lens and focusing on the Mexican American, Mexican and Latino and immigrant experience, right?
You even did a theater class that I took with you.
Pardon?
You said you did a theater class,
so
which was amazing.
encompasses the multiplicity of experiences of Mexican Americans in this country and transnationally. And I wanted to go into that field because when I started taking those kind of classes in the same way that some of my students do here when they take an ALS class, they're like, oh my gosh, I'm learning about my culture and I'm also becoming politicized. And so in the same way that I learned so much through taking Chicano Studies courses at Cal State Northridge, I said, I want to do that too. I want to be able to teach this and teach students about their history because K through 12, I didn't learn any of my history about Mexican Americans, right?
Yeah, no, we don't learn
So for me, it was a way to give back to the community, also to teach others, to mentor, right? and I just fell in love with the field and everything that it represents.
And we fell in love with you.
Wow.
Thank you.
Megan.
Yes, so another course you teach is the history of LGBTQ communities of color in the U.S. is a long name.
Yes, I
So
know.
what do you teach in that class?
That class focuses on the perspectives, the theories, the history of LGBTQ communities of color, as the very long title indicates. And basically is looking at the way that LGBTQ communities have been sort of ignored within the broader sort of white mainstream
Yeah.
LGBTQ movement, right? And looks at the different perspectives. I last semester I taught it through, I taught oral history, and we looked at different texts that looked at oral histories, and so I think that's the main thing that I want to teach students in that class is the experiences of LGBTQ people of color that have not been, like Stonewall. That history has been whitewashed, right? Like many other stories, and yet it was trans women of color. It was trans women of color like Sylvia Rivera, Marsha P. Washington, who's a black trans woman, who were the first ones, to get down at Stonewall. Yet that story was erased, right? And so the centrality of the activism of people of color in the LGBTQ movement, because most of what we know has been told through this very white lens. So, in a nutshell, there's more, but that's really what it's about,
That
right?
sounds awesome, yeah.
Well, I'm gonna go straight to the chase. I want to know what led you to Oyana in the ALS department, and what was your educational trajectory like for you here?
That's a great question. Well, I'm a first-generation college student. Many of my students. Many of the students here on campus. I'm a first-generation college student. My parents, my mom had a third grade level education. My dad finished high school, and so I didn't have that similar kind of mentorship, that other students have, just the knowledge about college and how to survive. So I had to really find it through mentors on campus, professors, and things like that. It was hard. It was hard to navigate college. It took me 6 years to get my BA, just because I changed my major, right? I didn't know I started out as a graphic design major, switched to Spanish. I fell in love with learning formally the language, my first language, which was Spanish, and so that was educationally, and then eventually got my master's, my PhD, and then when I went on the market, I got a job here. I had never heard of Oneonta before, but I was lucky.
Like money.
But I was lucky to land a job in a department like Africana and Latino Studies that teaches similar things that I'm passionate about and that I was trained to do.
And Dr. Wimbury talked a lot about you. Shout out to Betty Wimbury.
Yes, shout out.
We're gonna have a little fun round right now. Switching
do it.
gears. Okay, so it's another time for addition for a lightning round. So we're gonna hit you with some fun questions. You gotta hit it. You gotta just give it to us. So Talea, start lightning round.
Jasmines or seasons?
Ooh.
Jasmines.
Come on, you don't work at seasons.
I'm sorry. I love you, but jasmines.
Damn.
Sorry.
That's
Okay,
cold.
I like jasmines too.
All those sandwiches they make up, I'm like, where did you come up with that sandwich?
I'm not gonna speak.
Okay. All right.
Okay,
So
should I
it's
not
just
say
like,
that?
I just work there.
Okay.
I am sorry to say you didn't make
Butter
that up.
the bagels.
Yeah, I know.
All right, Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts?
Starbucks, for sure.
I'm a Starbucks person.
Yeah.
I'm Starbucks for specialty drinks.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I really don't like
Starbucks
Dunkin'
all the
Donuts.
way. I'm Starbucks.
Yes.
Dunkin' Donuts
Give me
is
5.
cheesy. Anyway.
I agree with you.
Yeah, I'm a
Okay,
Starbucks fan
so
now.
you said you speak English, obviously, Spanish, and French.
A little bit of French.
A little bit of French. Which is your favorite?
Spanish,
Yes.
but I also love French because it's very
Okay.
romantic.
Oui, ça
And I want
va.
to go to Paris.
Oui, je
Oh
parle
my God.
français, so
Like,
oui.
it's only go to Paris.
Oh.
Somebody you really care about.
Oui,
We've been there
oui.
with a friend and it was boring.
Okay, no.
Only go with a loved one.
I'll definitely go
Only
with my
go with a loved
partner or
one.
with my mom because I want to travel with my
Yes,
mom.
with your mom would be
Yes.
beautiful.
I am going to Madrid this summer.
Oh, my home.
Wow.
I love
I
Madrid.
know, so when I heard you talk about Spain, I
Oh
was
my
like,
gosh.
I'm going.
I'll tell you tips later.
Yes, please.
I just think French is a romantic, sexy language.
It's
Very
Moi
romantic.
aussi. Moi
Oui,
aussi.
je parle français.
What they say?
Beaucoup.
Je parle un peu aussi.
Okay, okay. So there's
Allez-vous
my
français?
question. I have my question. So, okay, let's
regroup, regroup.
Collecting. Sorry. LA or New York City?
Oh,
That's a hard one. but I'm an LA boy.
Yeah.
Okay, I gotta respect it.
Born and raised, but I love New York City. Like, I love New York City so much. They're both amazing cities, but I'm from LA, and they will always.
That's your home.
Okay.
That's
We
home.
respect that.
That's my home.
Like if we all end up in LA, I'll be like, yeah, but I'm a New York girl. All right.
Yeah. You know, New York City, we have the style, and we're kind of different.
LA has style too.
LA style. Look at me.
Come on.
He's right. We special. We special.
I'm just kidding.
I'm just kidding.
I'm just kidding.
I just think that
Oh
they're
my
both
gosh.
top cities.
Yes.
Yeah.
LA and New York City is the awesome place to be. Go and visit. Right?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. Okay. And we have an announcement you need to make. According to what I hear, this is your last semester at SUNY Uyanta, so please fill us
I wanted to
in.
take a class with
I
you.
know. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I know.
Breaking my
So
heart.
this
I'm
is our
leaving,
special.
so we leaving together.
Not cool. Not cool.
I know.
He told me that. I was like, but why? He was like, you let me too. I'm like, that's not the point.
So please tell us, what is your next transitional endeavors, all that good stuff, and
Sure.
tell us, please.
I will be teaching in Portland, Oregon, which is a beautiful city also, at Portland State University. And I'll have a joint appointment in Women, Gender, and Sexuality Studies and University Studies, which is their GE program. And also I'll be closer to home, to LA. It's
Yes.
a 2-hour flight.
Okay.
Jump on a plane, go visit my family.
Let's give a hand of applause for that. Dr. Alvarez. Woo! We're running, unfortunately, we're running out of
No, I
time.
want to stay longer.
Yes. Unfortunately, thank you so much for joining us. This is all the time we have for today from me and my lovely co-host. Thank you for watching The Oval.